Hello, welcome to Scrap Time. My name is Christine, and in this video I'm going to be sharing some ideas of ways to reuse board game packaging. And so lately we've been buying a bunch of board games, and when I was punching out the packaging I realized how these are all shapes I like to use in my art. You have all different sizes of circles, we have some squares, we have different size squares, we have some little beehive hexagons. And I was thinking, why get rid of this when I can use it in art? And so there were a few different things I came up with, and I did some samples here. So the first is to paint within it. Now, because this is a thick chipboard, sort of like chipboard pieces we buy in different of our crafting, you would know that you can't just put a sponge and think you're going to get your ink in there because it's a lot thicker. So I went in with a brush to paint inside. And so you can see in doing so, sometimes I didn't get the exact circle. Sometimes it went underneath it. But in art journaling especially, for me personally, I don't mind it like that. When I went back in with my pen and doodled around and got the exact circle, that little bit that falls out from under it, I think just adds more to the page. However, if you were doing like precise card making, you may want that exact circle and not use this for that purpose. However, because of the thickness, it's really good for just outlining it with a pen, because it has the thickness for the pen to follow around and you can get circles in that. Here are just some shapes on their own I doodled. And then there's also pieces like this that have frames. This is a different size one. And so you could always just trace this and then do a picture inside it, or you can cut it out of paper and make different things with your frames. So I had some little tags here, and I just wanted to show you the difference. By just outlining those little squares on there, it just adds another layer to the project. If you compare it, I have one where I haven't doodled, say like this. You can see how by starting to bring in these outlines, it just adds something more. Here I just did a few circles down the side, but on this one too, I even just colored it in, and the boldness, it gives you like the idea what you get with a stamp, but it's a stencil that you could color it in with any color ink you might have in pens and that. And so it just gives you another tool to use. And if you've already purchased the board game, then technically it's a free product that you would just throw away, but instead of throwing away, let's find ways to use it. Now, one other idea I had is I took one of the game pieces, I forget exactly which one, it could be even something like this, and I soaked it in water. So I'll just move these out of the way. I soaked it in water, and then I sort of tear apart the layers. And so now I have these pieces. Some are thin, some are a little thicker. But what I would do with this is glue it down onto your project, like obviously is smaller. You can glue it down with multimedia, and then you already have a texture. I would glue it down and I'd put gesso over it or something. And then now I have texture already on my project. So I like to use paper like this at the base of a project just to add some texture that will be in the background of it. So, and I just ran it under the water until it got wet enough that I could pull apart the layers. So hopefully, if you've bought any board games recently, you'll hold on to your pieces and find ways to use them in your art projects.